For our United Way Spotlight of the Week, I'm joined by Daren Dougall, Chair of the 2021 United Way campaign. Welcome, Daren, and congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much. It's good to be here, and thank you for your support.
It is our pleasure, absolutely. I find that doing these segments, I have learned so much. I had no idea the agencies and the programs that are out there. It's been really fascinating, so I'm pleased that we can help you guys out. And so you were the money guy this year, and as I understand, you did better than you expected.
Our community did better than we expected, for sure. But I had my goal set based on what I know about our community, and they just met that goal. It was an incredible campaign. I'd love to take credit for it, Donna, but it was really the work of the thousands of volunteers, the workplaces, and of course the donors that really pushed us over the top and realized, and well beyond realized, our goal.
So you had a goal of, and you raised how much?
Our goal was $3,614,000, and the last time I checked, I think we were at 3.8 million. So.
Wow.
It was an incredible achievement for our community.
Absolutely. Which segment of the community seemed to come through more than the others? Was it workplace, private?
Workplaces are always one of the most critical pieces, but we also have some champions behind the scenes that really try to push that campaign. So there's a couple, Jim and Julie Parker, that supported us through the challenge grant. So anybody that gave at the leadership level, which is $1,200 or more, they matched that. And then Jessica Bain Hogan, another incredible community supporter, she went even further than that and said any female, as part of the Women's United movement, any female that donated $1,200 or more, she would also match that. So for a woman to have donated $1,200, actually triple their impact in our community. So that kind of philanthropy goes a long way, for sure.
That adds up, and it adds up fast. What a great idea. Someone saying, I'll match it. Yeah, what a great idea. So now you've got all this money burning a hole in your pocket. What happens next? How does them? I know that they were really good about responding to need that no one ever would have seen coming, but you've got certain agencies that you fund pretty much every year. How does that work?
Well, when you think about it, I mean, the agencies that are supported through the United Way, I mean, they are operating year-round. They operated through the pandemic, and they continue to operate. They've adjusted their businesses and their services. I mean, 79,000 people in our community are supported through these agencies. So it's not work that can be paused. It's, if anything, I think during a crisis like the pandemic, the work has actually increased. There's certainly the mental health issues, homelessness, food. The amount of food that's been distributed through United Way funded agencies has just been off the charts. You mentioned about the money burning a hole in my pocket. One of the greatest things about the United Way is that the money doesn't sit. It gets back into the community as quickly as possible, and it's supporting those agencies. And in fact, this year, because of the incredible support of our community, I think we gave out 25% more funding than we did last year. So the need has increased. The United Way and our community stepped up to meet that need, and we've got that money out the door and into the hands of the folks that need to make a difference in the people's lives that need it the most.
Well, I was always impressed with how they spotted a need, and instead of saying, well, no, this is what we do, and we don't do that. Instead, they said, this is what the community needs, and there's some people really hurting out there. And they responded to that. What were some of the projects? I remember Martha's Table. It was so that people could meet outside. It was tents, and it was a big tent so people could still have company when they eat a meal.
Yes, a lot of the agencies had to pivot, of course, their business. I mean, if you think of the face-to-face mental health supports that existed before the pandemic and how to manage that kind of space, the meal programs, the nutrition programs, that basic food on the table programs were so needed. I mean, I heard stories from, Jim and Julie Parker talk about feeding seniors. And these are folks that have never, that have gotten to a point in their life where they shouldn't need. And yet they did, and how hard it must have been for them to step up and for us to be able to do food support for them. Lionhearts is another one. You mentioned Martha's Table. Lionhearts is an agency that stepped in to fill a spot, and over the course of their existence, they've served over 250,000 meals in our community. So and people stepped up even beyond the campaign. People like Paul DiRinaldo and his dad Ray, who own RDR Wealth Management. They stepped up at the beginning of the pandemic and said, we want to help. We want to help our community. And they reached out to the United Way because they're both supporters of the United Way through the campaign generally. And they said, we want to do more than our regular support. We see our community in need and we want to step forward and support that. And they trusted the United Way to steward their money and put it where it was needed the most at that crucial time, and to get that money right out into the hands of the people that needed it. So they didn't have to wait.
It's really, yes, changes every day and decisions being made every day, probably cutting through a lot of red tape that may have been there otherwise, and it really says something about our community. So it'll continue. It looks like we're not going to be over this anytime soon. It's starting to look that way. But if suddenly they didn't need special funding for projects, what would the focus normally be of the United Way?
Well, the United Way is, of course, in and of itself, it's a nonprofit agency that is governed by a board of directors, and they look at the priorities in the community. The United Way is not just a funding agency, but it's a capacity builder. So it's connected to lots of different tables and strategic planning groups in the community to be able to respond to the needs that are there. That's what makes the United Way so special, is it's local. It's our community, our family, our friends, our neighbors that are getting this support, and the United Way helps to facilitate understanding what's needed. So big chunk of work that the United Way has taken on is mental health and mental well-being. Homelessness has always been a huge issue, as we know, in Kingston, and the United Way has been not only a funder, but also a strategic partner, and they do their point in time counts, which are trying to assess the need in the community. And then they work with political leaders and community leaders and philanthropists and their own funding to respond to the needs that are assessed in those areas. Addictions, I mean, we don't have to go far to see the kind of work that's being done at the Integrated Hub on Montreal Street, where, weekly, tragically, but weekly, they're bringing people back to life from overdose.
And the numbers, something like 40 a week. The number I heard was, wow, yeah, amazing, yeah. So, so people might still want to, maybe they forgot to donate, and now this is that little nudge they need. How can they go about donating to the United Way?
The United Way has a very accessible web page. If you are in a workplace that has a campaign, I strongly encourage you to continue to give. The United Way doesn't waste money. They place it where the need is. So if you haven't given, for sure give. Great Christmas present to make a donation on behalf of, or a holiday season present to give a donation on behalf of somebody else as a gift to somebody, rather than spending money on a gift from out of our community. You can put it back into our community. So, and
a gift that nobody really wants or needs. So this is something that the kind. Anyway, thank you so much for being with us today, and continued success.
Well, thank you very much for your support of the campaign as well.